Welcome into episode 2 of Varsity Sports, your new home for college football. We do ball, and that's all. Let's get right into it. I'm going to give you a quick rundown. We got my big games of the day for tomorrow that I will do more so my deep dive on than the other games. Then I got some games that are under the radar, which normally wouldn't be under the radar on a normal college football weekend, but because there's so many big games this week, they are. And there's a lot of sneaky games. There's a lot of teams on upset alert that I think people need to pay attention to. There's some fishy games out there that we really got to pay attention to. So, got the big games going on the screen below. These are in order, so let's go ahead and get right into it. We're going to go to a place in Austin, Texas, where the Wildcats travel to take on the Longhorns. We got the history of this matchup. Texas leads all-time 13-10. They've won 6 straight. Kansas State last won in Austin in 2011. They're 0-5 since. Brutal. And Kansas State's actually only won in Austin 3 times. They're 3-9 overall when they play the Longhorns in burnt orange. So doesn't look good on the side of history for them. The line is 3.5. Texas over under 49.5. Really interesting there on that over under, actually. Kansas State, you seem to be peaking at the right time. Texas, trying to survive until Quinn Ewers comes back. The thought of an automatic Oklahoma-Texas Big 12 title is no more. And it went like that because everyone, for some reason, magically thought it would just happen again, which is never the case in college football. So, keys for Texas. Get the rushing attack established early, help out Malik Murphy, alleviate that pressure. Don't make Malik Murphy have to throw the ball to beat Kansas State. That's exactly what the Wildcats want. That's what Chris Klieman is dreaming of tonight. And then defense, it's pretty simple for Texas. And then defense, stand strong, slow down that Kansas State rushing attack. You got the size, you got the talent, you got the speed to be able to defend sideline to sideline, which Kansas State runs ever on the field. You think of a run-first team, you're thinking like a bruiser kind of team, kind of just pound the rock on you. They can do that, but they can also go side, gut up the middle, side. And Will Howard has the ability to throw that ball downfield. So keys for Kansas State. Physicality is key. Keep it up this week, especially on defense. Klieman has done very well of making this Kansas State team just a tough, branded, like Midwest bruiser kind of team. And that's exactly the identity they have. And they're not afraid to go up and play against anybody. And then keep it simple on offense. Don't get cute. Trust your offensive line. You have one of the best offensive line in the country. Offensive lines in the country. Geez. And then you also have the best interior offensive lineman in the country in Beebe. You got to trust him. Run the ball. Don't get cute. Don't do some weird plays. Come out and do what you do because it can work in this game. Win the turnover battle. No stupid turnovers against Texas. Keep it clean. Keep it simple. And then for Texas, you're really defending 4 running backs is my best way to put it when you play Kansas State. And two of those 4 running backs are their quarterbacks. And it's not like, oh, well, Avery Johnson is mainly a running quarterback, but he can throw pretty well. Will Howard can sit in the pocket and toss that thing, but he can also just run it. He'll take hits. He can go for 40 yards on the field pretty quickly. If you're not careful, Avery Johnson will slice you up like a hot knife through butter. He's like a bar of soap. You can't really get a hold of him. And you're going to have to prepare for both. Obviously, you have prepared for both, but Colin Klein, offensive coordinator, one of my favorite college football players of all time, he's kind of ridden the hot hand so far with these quarterbacks. Avery Johnson got some experience earlier or throughout this year, which is actually really big for them. It's benefited them because Howard had a lot of turnovers earlier in the year, but the last few games, nothing. He's gotten better. The confidence is back. He's gotten to form. He will start this game. But now there are packages for Avery Johnson. And normally people are like, well, when you have 2 quarterbacks, you have none. My team has done it pretty well so far this year of not success with the quarterback, but flipping the 2 quarterbacks, trying to figure out how things work. Normally that doesn't work. For Kansas State, it has worked since they have started doing it. And then on top of that, the other 2 running backs you got to pair for, Giddens, who's a dog, the do-it-all back, bruise it, run it between the tackles, find easy holes, and just go straight through them. Then you have Trayshawn Ward, who you do not want to get into open field, Texas. He is the sideline-to-sideline guy. He will light it up and just go down the field. Giddens is averaging 6.2 yards per carry, and Trayshawn Ward is 5.3 yards per carry. So you are handling a really good rushing offense, and you have to be very careful. Like I said, the O-line is incredible. For Kansas State, another thing, get after Malik Murphy, make him very uncomfortable. In the BYU game, he wasn't pressured very much, but when he was pressured, he looked like that freshman. He looked like the first start kind of guy little bit freaked out, and that's when the turnovers came. Blitz all game. Blitz, 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 blitz. Get after him. Make him uncomfortable. Make him start to throw the ball. And that's where you have to take away the run, where Texas needs to establish it. Kansas State, you gotta early in that game stop that run. This is going to be a battle of will in the trenches. And then on top of that, the game is going to be won in the red zone. Texas, 7th in red zone defense. Kansas State is the best offense in terms of red zone efficiency. Texas, where they've had problems kind of separating from teams this year, really good teams, except Bama kind of late in the fourth quarter. Their red zone offense is not good in terms of what Texas should be, even with Ewers. The red zone offense was not good. A lot of field goals in the red zone. And Kansas State's defense is a good red zone defense. So this game's going to be won or lost in the red zone. And for Texas, my message, rely on your best. It's just survive right now. That's kind of how it is. But the problem with that is I think Sark's going to coach not to lose this game, kind of like how he did at the end of the Oklahoma game. And that is not how you want to coach. Like I said, when you coach that way, you most likely lose most of the time. And Kleiman can outcoach Sark because Sark, like I said in my first episode, I think Sark relies on his athletes to cover up his coaching flaws a lot. And it helps when you're at a place like Texas, the way it recruits itself. I'm not trying to, this is coming to shitting on Sark a little here, but I think Kleiman can outcoach him. I'm going with the Wildcats, man. I think they have the physicality. I think they're peaking at the right time. I think these teams are meeting at the right time. Give me Kansas State to win this football game. It'll be a fight, though. I mean, this is going to be a brutal game. These dudes are going to be popping each other, and it's going to be an awesome football game. All right, now we got Texas A&M at Ole Miss. A little bit loud there, closer to the mic than I thought I was. A&M leads the all-time series 9-3. Ole Miss has won 2 straight, and the line is 2.5. It's dropped from 3 for Ole Miss. The over/under is 52.5. Keys for Texas A&M. This is a game where you just need to apply pressure all game long. Defense help the offense, which has kind of just been the motto of Ole Miss, or not Ole Miss, Texas A&M for the last 2 seasons. Defense leads the SEC in pass defense, which you really need run defense this game, but still, that's obviously a plus. The team is number 1 in the nation in sacks and tackles for loss, which right there, that's important. Very important, that tackle for loss. Stay physical up front. Like I said, it showed in the Bama game for Ole Miss. You're able to wear them down over time, and they won't be able to do what they do, and then they kind of just cave in on themselves. But the only team that's been able to do that to them is Alabama. And then keep the ball safe on offense. It's really a simple script for A&M this game. They have the talent. They can beat Ole Miss. Like this I wouldn't be shocked by this result at all, simply just because of A&M's talent. Like this has been the issue for A&M. They haven't been able to put the puzzle pieces together. They have the athletes to compete with anyone. They have the size, the physicality, the athleticism. Jimbo just can't put the puzzle pieces together. So the keys for Ole Miss: establish the run early. Texas A&M has been able to make teams very one-dimensional, Tennessee and Alabama included. Make sure the run is not something that gets taken away. And then here, I think this is the most important thing for Ole Miss and Kiffin. Start quick, start fast, give A&M no momentum. Make them think after the first quarter, man, this could be brutal. You got to get them thinking like that. You got to come out hot. And then your O-line needs to step up for Ole Miss because this is going to be a battle in the trenches. Texas A&M can overwhelm you and overbody you in the trenches. This one's pretty simple when it comes to it. Ole Miss, establish the run, keep the run going. A&M, just figure out a little bit on offense. You can flip a quarter to figure out who wins this game. I want to pick A&M, and I really do think they're going to win, but then I don't think they're going to win simply because of who their head coach is. They haven't won a road game since 2021 in the SEC. I think the last I don't think Jimbo's really beaten a really highly ranked opponent on the road. I don't even think A&M's beaten a highly ranked opponent on the road since like Manziel against Bama. But like I said, I want to pick A&M, but I can't because their head coach is Jimbo Fisher in a game like this. Give me Kiffin and the Rebs to win that ball game. Next, we got Missouri at Georgia. This one's very interesting. Georgia leads the all-time series 11-1. They've won 9 straight, and Missouri's only win was 2013 in Athens. So that's well, at least your one win is there. So if you get win number 2, it would be there as well. The line is Georgia 15.5, over under 55.5. Keys for Georgia: Get to the quarterback. The pass rush this year, you haven't really been able to get the sacks you've needed, and you don't want another Spencer Rattler first half special, especially with Brady Cook, because when Brady Cook's given a clean pocket, he'll cook. That was a bad joke, but he'll cook. And then for Georgia, let Beck do his work. Missouri's secondary will start to tear down throughout the game. They kind of have every team they've really played. It's broken down. So Beck has been playing well. Don't be scared to let him open his game up. I don't think Kirby Smart is, but just in case, he's gotten better each week. He can seriously vault himself to a Heisman contender if he keeps going this way. And then it's pretty simple for Georgia. Go do what you do. I have that written down, but I mean, you're Georgia. You got Kirby Smart, the brand you've built, the personality that your program has. Go do what you do. And then for Missouri, like I said, you got to give Brady Cook time. This pass defense that Georgia has, it's doable to be able to win this game with the receivers you have. Let Luther Burden go off, target him a lot. Don't let him get taken away. Luther has got to step up, possibly have the best game of his career to win this game. And then you got to win the turnover battle. You can't lose the turnover battle to Georgia. That's just, you can't do it. It's not going to happen. And then don't let Georgia push you around early, especially up front on defense. It's easier said than done, but you got to show them that you're able to hang with them. Take that first punch in the mouth and just keep going at it. Missouri, you're going to have to throw the kitchen sink at Georgia. You're going to have to unplug your refrigerator, throw the refrigerator at them, take your door off the hinges, smack them over the head with the door, then go to your neighbor's house and do the same thing just to have a shot at beating Georgia. So I want to believe this is close, and I think it might be for the first quarter where we're kind of like the South Carolina game. We're like, oh, but I think Georgia will put up points. I think it'll actually be a decently high-scoring game. But I think Georgia will just eventually second half suffocation of Missouri, and they'll roll and they'll cover. I think the Bulldogs handle this no problem. Just think South Carolina game, but with more points scored in the first half for both teams. Now, let's move to the final bedlam. It's sad this rivalry is going away, which this is the weird thing. Like, everyone's like, oh, it's the last bedlam. Oh, this is crazy. Because personally, I favor in-state rivalries. Obviously, our biggest rivals, Bama, the in-state rivalry, but it's in-state, so it makes it better. But when you look at this game, most rivalries are at least somewhat close or a little bit like 15 away, 14 away, sometimes in that category. Oklahoma has the most wins against one opponent in the country, and that's against Oklahoma State. They lead the series 91-7-19. The 7 is ties. Oklahoma owns Oklahoma State. I mean, they won the last year's matchup, and I found this very interesting. Only 8 of Oklahoma State's 19 wins are in Stillwater. So they've had more success away from home in this rivalry. So it's weird, but this is the last one. So let's not overlook that. Last one, it could be back in like 10 years or something, the way college football is going. We don't know. But for now, this is the last one we know of. The line is OU -6, over under 61.5. The keys for Oklahoma, which if you don't know who this guy is, Ollie Gordon for Oklahoma State, he's kind of blown up the last 4 weeks. Not kind of blown up. He has blown up, the word blown up. I mean, let's just put it this simple. Slow Ollie Gordon, 978 yards in the last 5 games, 7.7 yards per carry. Yes, those are real stats. That is not from a video game. Oklahoma, you have to slow him down. And that's really majority of the key for Oklahoma is don't let them set that up. You're third in the Big 12 in rushing yards allowed. Keep it physical up front. Make Oklahoma State throw. Oklahoma State will not beat you throwing the ball. They can't hang with you in throwing up points. But the thing to do that, to put up those points, you got to trust Dillon Gabriel this week. Even if there's mistakes or turnovers, trust Dillon Gabriel. He only threw the ball 19 times against Kansas, his lowest amount of the season. He's the most important player on the field for the Oklahoma offense. Don't tie his hands behind his back. Let him air it out and then just slow Ollie Gordon. And that's what you got to do. Don't play with your food. You're significantly better than Oklahoma State. But here's the thing. Make Oklahoma State throw, like I said, slow Ollie Gordon. Do your offense. Do what you do. But here's the thing. Like I said, last bedlam, and it's in Stillwater. That magic could be alive. This could be one of the craziest environments we've seen in college football history. And now going into the Keys for State, playing on top of that, don't let the magic die. Don't let Stillwater magic die. Don't come out flat. You need that crowd engaged and just give them something early to just be insane. And then block for Ollie Gordon. OU's front can dismantle you if you don't come out ready. And I think with a lot of doubters, they're going to come out with their hair on fire. You gotta make things work for Ollie Gordon. If not, if you start throwing the ball, it might get really ugly. And then the key, obviously, run the ball, like I said. With those drives, don't score too quickly. Obviously, you got to take big plays if you have them. But you need Oklahoma and Dillon Gabriel to be sidelined. Don't let him get in rhythm. Bleed that clock. Don't let that high rhythm offense get on the field. And then turnover time. I have turnover time here. Gabriel has thrown an interception in 3 of his last 4 games, and he probably will in this game too. But you got to capitalize on that. You have to capitalize on that. And then going back to Oklahoma, trust in Dillon Gabriel. My pick for this game. Oklahoma stays, daddy. They end the series on the top like they always have been. Sorry, Cowboys fans. Sooners, Boomer Sooner. I think they roll. I think they are able to slow. There'll be initial Ollie Gordon push. I think they slow it over time and then kind of run it up once they kind of take the crowd out of it. Now let's get into the really, really big matchup that people are playing and talking about. LSU at Alabama. Bama leads the all-time series 55-5-27. As we all know, LSU won last year. And these two teams are actually 5-5 in the last 10 meetings in Tuscaloosa. I found that very interesting. The line is Bama -3, over under 61.5. Keys for Bama: play a full football game. You got to stop this. Well, it's worked still for you regardless, which of course it did. But play a full game. Don't just play quarter. And against Texas, you kind of played good every other quarter. Tennessee, you played good in the second half. USF, you played good in the second half. You got to play a full game here, man. You got to play a full game, especially against an offense like LSU. Get off the field on defense on third down. LSU's elite on third downs. They're number 1 in offensive efficiency on third downs. You got to get them off the field. Oh, excuse me. Get to Daniels, man. Both their losses, he was sacked more than 2 times, 4 against Florida State, 3 against Ole Miss. And even if you can't really get to Daniels, which you kind of really want to contain him more than anything, but sacks just take the life out of an offense. But if you can't get to him in sacks, don't let him make those explosive plays on the edge. Corral him. Keep him inside. Make him run in between the tackles. Keep him inside. Corral him if you can't get to him. That way he can't go for 30 or 40 like he normally does. And then protect Jalen Milroe. They, regardless of opponent, Middle Tennessee State, USF, Texas, it don't matter. Bama's given up like 3 to 5 sacks a game. You can't do that, especially against this LSU defense, which is not a good defense at all. I think they're down like 2 starting corners. Wingo's not playing. This defense is Swiss cheese. And even Alabama's woes on offense, you should be able to run all over it. And honestly, Milroe should be able to pass all over it as well. Keys for LSU: start in the first place, capitalize on Bama's turnovers. They will most likely happen. Bama will turn the ball over. You got to capitalize on those. And this is a team, I say it every year, regardless of teams who think they're good or not. Whenever you play a team like Alabama, I don't care. Don't do like Kiffin does the thing where he goes for it on 4th down and like 5 from his own 35. Don't do stuff like that. If you're in the red zone and it's 4th and 3, Brian Kelly, do not kick a field goal. Early in the game, go score a dang touchdown. Remember what Tennessee did? They settled for field goals when they should have just piled on the momentum. Don't do it against Bama and Saban, and teams continually do it because teams think they're different and they believe. No, it don't work. Go for it. Score touchdowns. Don't settle for field goals, especially on turnovers. And then keep the cap on the bottle. Don't let Bama get over the top on you like they did against A&M with Jermaine Burton. A lot of their success for Milroe has resulted from him bombing the ball down the field. And it's worked because people are so keyed on the run with Milroe and his legs. But you got to play both, man. Just because Bama's receiver room ain't the room that it's been in the past, they still got guys, man. They got players. Don't let them get over the top on you, because if they do, it's going to be a long night, especially with your defense. And then withstand second gear for LSU. Once Bama gets rolling, don't panic. It's going to happen. Don't panic. It will happen. Trust your offense. Stay composed. Let Daniels lead you. And then block out the noise. I think this is big for LSU because a lot of people are taking LSU. They're like, LSU's going to win. They won last year. The year has kind of been rocky for Bama. LSU should win this game. Oh, Brian Kelly can beat them. Beat Saban back-to-back years. Jaden Daniels, first quarterback to go back-to-back on Saban since yada, yada, yada. You got to cancel that stuff out, man. That's poison. And if you believe it, I think there's a lot of like fantasy element involved in this LSU team. I think they're a great team. or I think they're a good team, not a great team. People think they're a great team because they're offense, but a football team is more than an offense. The teams they've played so far in the SEC, my team included, really aren't very good teams, except for Ole Miss, and they lost that game. They're not a complete football team. I honestly would not be surprised if Bama just came out and beat the crap out of them. I really wouldn't. And I do think Bama's going to win this game. And I think it could be 60 minutes. And Jaden Daniels obviously gives everyone a chance. But I think Bama can light up this. I think Bama will get in rhythm. They've gotten better every week. I don't think this game's going to be as close as some people think it is. Like everyone has this fantasy of LSU being a true contender, SEC West again, and they have everything going right. When the SEC is a little down right now, but Bama's still the best. They're still the best of the group. I believe in Bama's defense to hold LSU to their lowest scoring output of the season, or second lowest. I have it like, what did I had 41-27 Bama. So that's high scoring, but I think this Bama offense can do it. Stop going against Nick Saban, especially when we've kind of fantasized about this LSU team. I will give Daniels his credit, though, and the offense, neighbors, dogs. I mean, insane. It just, the product on the other side of the field for you is not it. And I think this is the game where Saban and Bama vault themselves back up, and everyone's like, oh, God, we should not have written them off. And I think that's what's going to happen. Give me Bama to spank the Tigers. Now, we got our upset alerts here. Upset alerts. Texas, obviously, as we talked about, on upset alert. Ole Miss is on upset alert. Notre Dame, yeah. Did you know Notre Dame plays Clemson this week at Clemson? Dabo needs a big get-right game with the way that fan base is. Florida is playing Arkansas at home. I think it is their blackout game, but Arkansas, this is a weird game. Florida State at Pitt. That one you got to watch out for. Pitt's known to be able to be the upset-prone team, especially at home. Ask Louisville about that. Here's a fun one. SMU at Rice. SMU on upset alert. Bama is not on upset alert. I don't know why I wrote that down. I don't think, I'm just saying, man, I think Nick Saban's going to send a message to the college football world. Oklahoma, not on upset alert. I don't know why I had them on there. Maybe just the environment, but I think they cruise. Iowa State is on here, which I found interesting. I just wanted to highlight that. They're favored over Kansas, but Kansas is the ranked team. This is when you get into the discussion of the ranked team loses, so that would be the upset, but this team's actually favored. So I just put that on there that they're on upset alert when really both teams are on upset alert, technically. And then Washington is on upset alert at USC. Oregon State is going to Colorado. The hype's kind of died down around Colorado and Dion and all that. Oregon State, you need a rebound game. Colorado coming off coming off the UCLA game where they actually did look improved. And then UCLA is going to Arizona. Here, how about this? Arizona's beaten the last two Pac-12 ranked opponents they faced. And they can score with the best of them. UCLA better be careful. Now, let's move to the under the radar games. These are fun. Some of these upset alert games that I had for you, but there's one tonight that I'm really excited about. I'm a big fan of, I like the program, Wyoming. I just like everything about that school and the stadium. It's a little magic around that program. But Colorado State at Wyoming, a rivalry game that people don't realize has been played as much as it has. Colorado State leads the all-time series 59-50. Yes, the last two have been Wyoming, and 2015 was the last time Colorado State won in Laramie. But that's a young team that's kind of starting to get their identity. They're not really a team you want to play around in the Mountain West. Ask Boise State. By the way, my favorite game of the year so far. If you haven't watched it or even know what happened, go watch the highlights of Colorado State at home against Boise State. Phenomenal. And then Colorado, like they had no chance being in that game, really. That was a great game. Colorado State's not a team you want to play around with, but Wyoming's strength and experience should win this game. And you got to make Braden Fowler Nicolosi, which is Colorado State's quarterback, get uncomfortable. Don't let him settle in because he's pretty inconsistent, but when he is in the zone, he's pretty in the zone for them. So Wyoming's linebacker, Easton Gibbs, should have a field day. That kid's putting up tackles so much every game. He needs to feast in this game. Use your home field to your advantage. Keep War Memorial rocking. Absolute incredible environment. Give me Wyoming to win that game. Next, I like this one a lot. Rich Rod and Jacksonville State at South Carolina. The Gamecock Bowl. This is one of those weird, games that just ends up happening later in the year that has turned into a oh crap, that team might actually be all right for who they are. This isn't the Jacksonville State we thought they were going to be coming into FBS. They're not someone you want to play around with right now. They got an experienced head coach. And I wouldn't say I'm scared if I'm a South Carolina fan, but I'm a little nervous just because this seems like one of those weird games where you're like, would we be surprised if we somehow lost this game? The way just everything is going for South Carolina, nothing is going their way. So in the Gamecock Bowl, give me the Gamecocks to win that game. Florida State at Pitt, like I said in the upset alert, be careful. You don't need another Boston College game. Don't sleep on this Pitt team. Like I said, ask Louisville how that went. Pitt plays spoiler more than not. So, like I said, Florida State, just be careful. Don't come out flat. Go do your business. Handle it. This one's interesting. Kentucky at Mississippi State. Kentucky's had 3 straight losses, which is brutal after getting a lot of hype, destroying Florida. The reality here I have for Mark Stoops is you better win this game or it's going to get uglier. Some of the fans are pissed with the NIL comments he made. Whether you think it was however you took that in or absorbed it, a lot of the fans didn't like that. And a loss to State this season is a tough mark, especially with he's not good against SEC West opponents. I think he's won like 1 game against SEC West opponents. So you got to do that. And then State at home, this is a must win for bowl eligibility because if you win this game, all you got to do is beat Southern Miss. A&M and Ole Miss will not be impossible for State. Rivalry game, never count one out, but that's tough. And this series actually tied 25-25 apiece. Kentucky won last year. And these teams, I found this interesting. Kentucky and Mississippi State have alternated wins since 2015. So if that holds, it's Mississippi State's here to win this game. I actually think State wins the game as well. I'm following that little history right there, that little tidbit. This is a must-win game for State. And I think it's a must-win for Stoops for this season, not his job or anything, but just like keep that program afloat. Don't let all that hype you had just flatline. Next, we have SMU at Rice, the Mayor's Cup, the first matchup since 2012, and Rice won the last one. This game was actually played annually from 1916 to 2012. SMU leads the all-time series 48-1-41. Excuse me. Rice is 4-4, and they need a win against SMU, UTSA, or FAU, and they have one game that they should be favored in. But still, Rice. I mean, that's kind of crazy. You were backs against the wall at home against SMU. This will kind of be like their Super Bowl game, obviously the rivalry game. But JT Daniels' experience and leadership is actually really helping this Rice team. And I found this funny. Not funny, but very interesting. Christian McCaffrey's little brother is the leading receiver for JT Daniels. Luke McCaffrey. He's actually kind of a dog. And JT Daniels has been dotting up some of these teams, and he's done really well. So SMU, you got to be careful. You just got to go in and handle business. But it is a rivalry game that hasn't been played in a long time. It's kind of Rice's Super Bowl, kind of the game they need to win to be able to hope to have a bowl. And it's against SMU. You can derail SMU's great season. This could be an interesting one. I think SMU goes in there and squeaks out the win. Next, Miami at North Carolina State. Miami needs to be careful. Keep your head above water in the ACC title race. This is a dangerous place to play at NC State. But this is interesting that we're kind of talking about Florida State and Louisville. Miami is still alive for this ACC title. Yes, they have 2 conference losses, but if they win this game, they get to play Florida State. They get to play Louisville. So you have the path to get there. You control your own destiny. So you have to win this game. You have to go out there and win this game. I think Miami actually gets it done. I think Cristobal keeps the boat afloat, and they go into a point of a really hyped Miami and Florida State matchup. Boise State at Fresno State. This game has big Mountain West Conference championship implications here. Mountain West Conference never disappoints people. I'm a fan of an SEC team. SEC is the conference I obviously pay attention to the most. But besides the SEC, I love to watch Mountain West football. It's great. If you don't watch it, you need to tune into it. One of my favorite conferences. Everyone talks about MACtion. MACtion is great. Sunbelt. Sunbelt's a little crazy and wacky. Mountain West is awesome. I love Mountain West. There's just so many different kind of cultures and vibes in the Mountain West Conference. It's awesome. Both teams are 3-1 in conference, and the loser is likely eliminated from contention. I actually like Boise State to go in there and beat Fresno State. So give me the Broncos to win that game. Arkansas at Florida. This one's interesting, like I pointed out. Be careful, Florida. Be very careful. Arkansas has been flat recently, and the offense is just kind of just drove off the road. Nothing's really working for Arkansas, which is tough. But this could be that get right game. It's the blackout. in the swamp. For Arkansas, it could be, but Florida is really good at taking the ball away and keeping possession and bleeding clock. And I think that's really what you need to do. And for Arkansas, really, if you want any hope for this season to go well, you need to win this game. I mean, you're 2-6, so you have to win out. But if they get over this game, it's not impossible actually for them to necessarily make a bowl. I know it's crazy, but it is possible. Hear me out. Arkansas, if you beat Florida, you have a possibility of a bowl game. If you win Saturday, you get Auburn at home. That's not an impossible game to win. Then you get FIU at home, which should be a win. And then rival Missouri comes to home where you could spoil their season. I'm just saying, Arkansas could have a weird little turnaround here in the final 4 games. But it has to start here. If not, then the season just derails and everything goes to shit. And the fun fact that doesn't help this whole thing that I'm throwing out about Arkansas is 0-5 all time in Gainesville. So give me Florida. Give me Florida. I just thought that was interesting for Arkansas because if they do get over this game, there is a possibility that they could sweep out the season. So Virginia Tech at Louisville, another big game in the ACC, not being talked about, but I think there's a reason why it's not being talked about enough. This is pretty much an elimination game and battle for second place in the ACC for the title. Virginia Tech is 3-1 in conference play, which is why everyone's like, oh, wow, this is surprising. But the reason why I think this game isn't being talked about, those 3 wins have come against 3 of the 4 worst teams in conference. Those opponents have a combined win-loss record of 3-11 in conference. And Louisville is almost favored by double digits, and rightfully so. And Cardinal Stadium is literally one of the last places I would want to play on the road currently because Cardinal Stadium is bumping this year. Like, that is not a place you want to go play. I think Louisville smacks them. I think this will be ugly. Give me the Cardinals to spank the Hokies. Louisville continues its great season. Notre Dame at Clemson. For this one, I think Clemson really could use a win here, obviously, but I think Notre Dame's getting everything back on track. I think they're going to go in there and just kind of cruise. I think it's going to be the game where Notre Dame has control of the game all game, but the final score is not really going to indicate how much they actually control the game. Like, they might win by like 10. Might be like 30-20 or something, but it'll feel like Notre Dame just spanked them. Next, we got Kansas at Iowa State. This is the last game I have. The one I talked about that Iowa State was favored. But this is a weird game in the Big 12 race that we currently have going on right now. A win for State here in Ames. Everything's always weird in Ames. Like, I don't ever want to play there away, especially if you have title hopes on the line. But if Kansas can get past this insane environment, which they can, you can continue this great season and have an actual shot at the Big 12 title. The thing is, the last time Kansas won in Ames was 2008. So it's been a while, and they actually are going for consecutive conference wins for the first time since 2008 as well. But here's the thing. Everyone's like, ooh, that's brutal. We got to remember, with Leipold, Kansas is not the Kansas of old. This is a new identity. This team, this university has a different identity to it now. They're not the pushover team stuff anymore. They're here to break those streaks. They just broke the one against Oklahoma last week. They can do it. They can go in here and win this game. Just get over the weird stuff that's going to happen there and stay level-headed. And I think you should be able to beat them. Don't have the hangover game. This will be a battle, like I said, but I just think Kansas is rolling hot right now. Give me the Jayhawks. All right, guys, a little bit of a longer episode compared to our first one, but obviously game previews. I mean, I had a decent amount of stuff prepared for you guys, as I wasn't as well prepared in the first episode, but I wanted to make sure I was in this one. Thank you guys for listening, though. I hope everyone has a great weekend of college football. Enjoy it. It goes by so fast, man. Week 10. Man, enjoy this weekend. Be responsible. Love college football for what it is. And remember, it's a good day to have a great day.